First and foremost, we thank our Westerville police officers for being here today and for absolutely everything that they do. We thank the sheriff's offices throughout Central Ohio for the support they have shown our wonderful, wonderful city. And I sincerely thank all of you for being here and making this possible. You may please sit down. This is Sharon, and I am Mindy, and we are lifelong residents of Westerville. And I'll be very honest with you, we had no idea how this would turn out. As an everyday resident of the city that we love, you feel so helpless at a time like this. But the bottom line is, we are all in this together. And when we come together and unite, we are stronger. There's been a lot of postings on social media showing their support, and I think that's wonderful. But Westerville's bigger than that. Westerville is more personal than that. And that was the whole idea of today, to come here in one room and see one another and talk to one another. We get lost in texting, and we get lost in different posts on social media. There is nothing more important than seeing with our own eyes the support that we have for our city and for one another. To the Westerville Police Force, this is our way of showing you how loved you are and our support. Every single day, they go to work. They have our backs. It is time, it is beyond time as a community that we show them that we have their backs. We all are heartbroken. We are all heartbroken. This should have never, ever happened. We shouldn't have to be here today. It was senseless, it was reckless, and it was heartless. But we, as a Westerville community, we are strong, and we are stronger than one man's cruel act of stupid violence. And we will rise above that. We are going to open the mic to absolutely anyone who has a story to tell about one of the fallen officers. This is a time to reflect and to honor. We are going to begin this today with, we are blessed in the city of Westerville to have a chaplain who has done so much for our city, our counties, and beyond. Jim Meacham, I would like to begin with you, please.
It's been a privilege to serve Westerville as their chaplain. 46 years ago, I became chaplain of the Westerville Division of Police. For 10 of those years, I served as a reserve officer, so I know their hearts. We're hurting today. We're hurting yesterday and the tomorrows. Never did I ever think that in my privilege as a chaplain, and I have 5 chaplains, never did I ever think that we would have a day like this. A day when we would have to see 2 officers shot down, have services for 2 of our heroes. But the time came. My day started off yesterday just like any other happy day. Saturday, breakfast with the wife, and we were just going to have a fun time of doing nothing. We decided to go to the mall and walk when my phone rang. And they said, "Chaplain, get the chaplains coming. A horrible thing has happened." We rushed to that scene, the scene being our officers coming back in who had been there, talked with them, and then I was informed that one chaplain needed to go to the Morelli family and the other to the Jering family. And I went to Eric's home to tell his wife and children what had transpired. I can't put into words how that feels. I have taught Citizens Police Academy classes in Westerville for a long time, and I, in those classes, tell stories of the scenes I need to go to, but this was so different. The children were hurting, and the wife was hurting. All of us are hurting. And she said to me, "Chaplain, would you tell my children?" And it broke my heart to kneel down on the floor in front of the girls and tell them. I said, "You know, Daddy's a hero. He went out every day to do what he was called to do as a police officer. And a call came where somebody needed his help, and he went. And a man shot your daddy, and Daddy has died." The mama sent the littlest one in to change clothes because she didn't have on the appropriate outfit for the day. And she came back out crying, and I understand that. And her mama said, "Honey, Ella, what are you crying about?" And she said, "Mama, I don't have any black to wear." She honestly thought she was going to a funeral that day. Officer Jering was a canine officer, and the children lived with the dog. His name is Sam. And they began to say, "We need to see Sam." Sam was at the scene. And our men brought Sam. And the girls were so happy to love that dog, and the dog loved on them. Westerville community, we need to love on these men and women. There are nasty things being posted out there already, and I rebuke those. They serve far above themselves. These families who are hurting, we just came here from placing of a wreath, 3 wreaths, at the cruiser that is on the main square in Westerville. And the families both were there. But we can pray for them. We can stand strong for them. We cannot let hate overcome us, right? We need to stand strong. I just did an interview with the Dispatch, and they wanted to know from a chaplain's perspective how these officers will go on to tomorrow. They're trained to do that. If you call, they'll come. If you called in a nasty thing to the radio room, they'll come. And they'll do their job for you and me. Not only our officers, but one of the things we chaplains had to do was immediately go to the radio room. Our dispatchers were horribly shaken. We ministered to them. Our chaplains went to the fire division. They were shaken. And the EMTs, and we ministered to them. The lady from the dispatch said these words to me. When all of this is over and some weeks have gone by, how do you think the people of this community will react? Will it just be another day, ho-hum, we are going on? And how will your officers react? Some of them will have struggles later on down the road as the reality of what has transpired hits them. But I would pray that the community of Westerville would never forget. In the military, they have something that says, I've got your six. That means I've got your back. May they know every day they get up and go out to work, you've got their back. You're standing with them. You're praying for them. You're encouraging them. You're loving them as they deserve. I have been blessed by chaplains all over this country calling and asking if there's anything they can do. I don't know what I'd have done last night because we were short-handed if the Franklin County Sheriff's Office had not come, their chaplains, and stood with me and our chaplains, bridging the gap. So Westerville, bridge the gap. Stand strong. Drop a note in the mail now and then. Let them know you care. Thank you for letting me share with you. And P.S., pray for the chaplains. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. You see why I say we are so blessed to have him in our city? I cannot tell you that when we first thought about doing this last night, I had no idea who would show, how many people would show. You put it out on social media, but I know one thing. I grew up in the best city. Sharon grew up in the best city around Ohio. And because so many people care, look at the turnout. They thought at first, oh, maybe just pull out the bleachers. I don't know. We don't know how many people will show. And then people started coming in. We had a wonderful volunteer make little ribbons, passing them out at the door. That's what this community is all about. We are all in this together. The very first person that we called to see if we could even make this a reality today, we call her Mrs. Westerville, because she's been mayor, I don't even know how many times. Right now, she's vice mayor, and you've all heard her name. She is another blessing to our city. I would like to please call up, and I know this is hard on her, and at first she said, I will be there. Most assuredly, I will be there. I don't know if I can talk, because this is painful. This is the hardest thing in the history of our city that we've ever gone through. Kathy Kikuzi, would you please come to the podium?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. This is indeed a very difficult time. This is the Westerville I know and love, the people who come out because we are all family. Well, we lost two members of our family. The family of the city, the family of the police department, my family. I have known most of these officers for many, many years. I knew Officer Morelli for about 20 of those years. Tony always has a smile on his face. He's the most friendly person I know, and everyone who talks to me about him talks about how he would remember their name, he would be very thoughtful. I did not know Eric very well. and I only found out today that he's a 1997 graduate of Westerville South High School. Some of his classmates have contacted me. This is the time for us to come together as a community and to be the community that we've always said we are. This is the time to show with our actions and our respect and honor that this is what Westerville is all about. I really am having a difficult time putting into words how I feel, because I'm definitely heartbroken, as I know many of you are. And so many of you have asked me, what can I do? I really don't have an answer for that, other than just praying, supporting, being there, giving hugs to anyone you see who's involved in not only in the police department, but in the entire city. Our staff is reeling as well. And hold on to each other, too. I just want to share something that I've seen in the police department a number of times. This is a policeman's prayer. Dear Lord, be with me on my beat this day and every day. Grant that each weary block I walk may ease a brother's way. Let me be kindly to the old, and to the young be strong. But let me triumph over those whose acts are cruel and wrong. And if according to your plan, I am to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife. Thank you.
Before we open up the mic to all of you, because you all have a voice and you all have stories to share or something to say, another city representative with City Council, Mike Hayek, would like to come up and say a few words. Mike?
Our city manager is with the chief doing the city business, our city manager, Dave Collinsworth. And he asked me to come to represent him and representing city council. They wore blue. The alarm rang. They got up. They said goodbye to their families. They wore blue. They went to work. They got a briefing before their shift. They checked out their vehicles, and they wore blue. They got a response from our 911 dispatchers, and let's not forget our 911 dispatchers right now. A dropped call. Their intuition worked right. They knew it was dangerous. A dropped call. They wore blue. They rushed in. They probably saved 2 lives. And they wore blue. They were shot and killed in the line. The 3rd officer, he wore blue. He reported to the 911 dispatchers. Officers down. It is bad. They wore blue. All the agencies from a radius of more than 25 miles came to our aid as the city of Westerville and the Westerville Division of Police. And they wore blue. The bodies were brought to the proper place with a procession that was miles long. And in that procession was agencies, many, many agencies, for they wore blue as well. We will have events this week to remember these two officers. And they wore blue. We will have blue ribbons. We will have the blue lights. But we need to remember beyond this week that they wore blue. Sometime this week, the sun will rise and there'll be a sky of blue. And that's God welcoming these two officers for what they did. Because as the sky is blue, they wore blue. I encourage you all to show your blue not only this week, but for weeks on end. Roush Hardware on Tuesday is going to be giving out blue lights. We are going to have, the FOP is going to have an event on Tuesday at First Responders Park, a vigil at 6:30 p.m. Tonight at 6 o'clock, the Heritage Christian Church, the Westerville Area Ministerial Association, will have an event. It doesn't end there. At First Responders Park, when we're there and we see the blue sky, you better believe we're going to put some tribute to these two heroes, for they wore blue.
I keep asking Sharon if she wants to say anything.
Just thank you.
Just thank you. She wants to thank everyone, and obviously the police officers. At this point, it's your turn. This is your chance. If you simply want to stand up and thank the officers, this is your city. These are your police officers. Does anyone want to speak? Anybody? You can, if you don't want to come up here, which I'm glad you are, come on up. We have a microphone and we can bring it to you as well.
Hello, I'm Ashley McCormick. I'm a human resource coordinator here with the city of Westerville. We just want to send our condolences to the families of the two officers who have fallen. And we want to let everyone know on our staff and the community that we are a resource here for anyone who needs any assistance, and we have EAP as well for anyone who needs counseling or emotional support during this trying time. So we want to make sure that we are there and being in support of everyone and their families during this time. We know how hard it is, but we are all going to try to stay strong, Westerville strong, during this time. So I just want to say those words, and God bless the families and just the whole entire city of Westerville. We appreciate you.
That's exactly, if you want to come up and make a line, one of my best friends from high school, Westerville police officer Mike Pavlino, can you just stand up, please? You're a Westerville police officer. Mike was also one of the first persons I reached out to see if we could make this thing happen. Mike, thank you for all you do as well. Please introduce yourself and have at it.
My name is Prabhakar Modur. I come from India. I've been living here 30 years. This is my home. These are my brother and my sisters. I never thought this will happen. I got a call from my older brother who is ill. Hey, look, something is going on in your community. 2 officers were killed yesterday. I didn't even know. I don't watch television. And these people work for us 24/7. I don't know if these 2 gentlemen left home, took leave of their family, their children. You know, this should not have happened. This should not have happened. We as a good community will bear this loss, we'll move forward, we'll pray for this family. The body is gone, but the soul never leaves. My prayer to this police officer's family, I learned with a small Sanskrit, in Indian old language Sanskrit. Loka samisto samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let everybody be happy in life, in family, in their life, which is very short. Don't take it away by violent method. Please, they are for us. They here every day, they protect us. I see them in my community. They come at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m. They live for us. They make us live. They help us. Let us spread this to this community. This will never happen again here. Let God bless Westerville forever. Thank you.
We also wanted to recognize Mr. Bill Highfield, also a former police officer and council member.
Hello, my name is Stephen Finney. This is my daughter, Stephanie. My other daughter, Samantha's in the crowd. I just wanted to say, first off, I'm very sorry for what happened. Very sorry, but I wake up every day in the city of Westerville, and it's a great, great city to live in. And my daughter being special needs, Westerville is unbelievable to live. But we walk the bike paths, we ride bikes, we run. We do all the things that people do every day, and I never think seriously too much about security because I know the Westerville police are here and they take care of our community. They look out for all of us, and I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you.
My name is Mike Seidel. Me and my wife grew up in Westerville. Officer Morelli, I didn't know Jory, but I knew Morelli. And he was our resource officer for me and my wife. But I really had an interaction with him at Blendon. Growing up, I didn't do the right thing. And Morelli would come over to our table at lunch, and he would talk with us. And he would make a relationship with us. And he gained our trust, and we looked at him as a friend. That changed my perception of law enforcement. He changed my perception of law enforcement. Because I always thought, avoid the law enforcement because you're not doing the right thing. He was one of the good guys. I can't speak for Jory, but I know Morelli. I'm really sorry. He didn't deserve it. None of them deserved it. I'm just really sorry. We love you guys. Thanks.
My name is Harlan Henderson, and I'm a fireman for Columbus Division of Fire, Station 15. On behalf of Columbus Division of Fire, my firehouse, I just want to tell the boys in blue, Columbus Fire stands with you. God bless you guys. Stay safe.
My name is Stephanie. I'm a 25-year resident of Westerville, raised my kids here. I'm also the sibling of a first responder in another city that need not be mentioned. But I know what it feels like to send someone you love out every day and just pray and hope. Also, in his years as a special officer at Giant Eagle, I had the horrid experience that as a parent, if you can appreciate, of losing my child inside the grocery store. And she was 7 at the time, and it was panic, as you can imagine, and I ran up to Officer Morelli at the front door. And just seeing his face and the calm that he had and the sense of how much it mattered at that moment, And of course, he's the one who found my daughter wandering out of the bathroom and kind of didn't know what was going on because she was 7 and had to go to the bathroom, and that's what you do when you're 7. And he brought her to me at the front of the store and, you know, got down on his knees next to her and spoke to her in a way that just, I'll never forget. And that's like almost 10 years ago. And I ran into him a couple months ago, and he was like, I know you're not going to remember this, but blah, blah, blah. And he remembered my daughter's name and asked how she was, and I showed him some pictures, and we got to chatting. And yesterday morning when we heard the news, my daughter said, I hope it's not our cop. When we found out that it was, it just felt so personal, because that's how the city is. And there are cops. And I know that this is hard, and I hope that it binds us together in a way that we wished we never had to be bound together. But we are with you, and we thank you, and we pray for you all. Thank you.
My name is Janice Jackson, and I'm a police officer's wife to Officer Jackson for the city of Westerville. And I just want to say to all of you, one thing that we say to each other every time before he leaves to hit the street is that I love you, be careful, and drive safe. And I wanted to say that to all of you, and not just him. And know that all of the families are hurting. So whenever you see them, just uplift them and keep them in your prayers. And Westerville, thank you so much for your support.
Hello, my name is Robert Gardner. I've lived in the city of Westerville since 1982. I'm a 34-year water department employee for the city of Westerville. I came from a broken home. We moved around a bit. My good friend at the time, and still is today, Dennis Stills, introduced me to Westerville. What I wanted most was a safe place to live and to feel like I had a family. Westerville did that for me. In 2000, or whenever my kids started playing baseball, Officer Morelli was one of my son's coaches. He was about, I don't know, it was maybe first year coach pitch or T-ball or whatever. I'm not sure. My son's now going to be a college graduate. Matt, can you please just stand for a second? So, Officer Morelli was definitely Officer Morelli, but he also worked in the community in so many different levels. I knew him through city employment. Most recently, my car broke down on Schrock Road. I was trying to get to Roush Honda. I didn't quite make it, and Officer Morelli came and helped me. And that was him. Everybody here, everybody that I see say anything, he always had a smile on his face, and he started out greeting every problem with a smile. So I interacted with Officer Morelli throughout the years, and I know that I've spoken with the staff, the water department, and we're grieving, and we feel terrible for what happened, and we'd like to say that, we support the Westerville police. And I personally think that Westerville is a safe space, and we do need to support our police officers more than ever. And I would just like to say thank you, Officer Morelli, and I didn't know the other officer. It's my loss, but I'd like to say thank you to his family too. So thank you, Officer Morelli and his family, and thank you to Westerville Police and all the other police departments. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Mary Nicholson. I lived in Westerville for 20 years. My husband and I raised 3 teenagers in this town. The officers, on occasion, we had to have some help because of health issues at our house. The officers came and they were gentlemen and they were caring and they were kind. And last summer, we moved up to Lewis Center, and I was running late, trying to get to a church service, and I was on Sunbury Road going north, and I was in the left turn lane, and I spotted a parking spot right across the street. So I was in left lane, I looked, nobody's there. I made a quick turn right across 2 lanes and parked my car. And Officer Morelli got out of his car, and I said, well, hello, officer. I guess you want to talk to me about that interesting turn I just did. And he said, no, ma'am. Nope, I'm just here to help you get across the street today. And it was a church I hadn't been to before, and I didn't know exactly what door to go in. And so I said, hey, do you know what door do you see most people going in? He goes, yep, right there. You got it. And I just want to say thank you. And we will keep you all in our prayers. And I hope we can all find a way to continue the support that we feel today, because it needs to go on every day. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Gunnar Dietz. I'm sorry. My dad, he's a retired Westerville cop. His name's Doug Dietz. You know, actually knowing some of these guys that are cops out here for us, just gives me a big sense of security. You know, knowing Officer Morelli, I know he was a good man. My dad actually did the background check for Officer Juring, and I just cannot imagine what my dad feels right now. To lose two of his brothers, you know. I do support all of you. I just wanted to say thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is John Kellogg, and it's my pleasure to serve as your school district superintendent. And each day, over 15,000 of our young people leave homes and come to our schools. They bike, they walk, they come in cars, they come in our buses, and they come in our buildings and they interact with staff. And one of the staff they get to interact with is our SRO officers, which on a daily basis, our young people get to understand the value of the men in blue and what they do for our community each and every day. They get to see them as human beings who support them and are interested in their well-being. They get an understanding there's lots and lots of adults who are concerned about their safety and well-being. And on some days, we have challenges in the school district that push us and make us think about safety and security. Sometimes it's about young people and self-harm. Sometimes about young people and harm to others. And every time we have them, we have these wonderful people in blue who show up and provide us the support in a professional and compassionate and sympathetic way that makes us get through the day. And I just want to take this opportunity on behalf of the school district and all the children we serve and the community and our staff to thank the men in blue for what they do for us each and every day here in the school district. Thank you.
I am so impressed with how many people are here today. I know our hearts are breaking. My name is Mary Lightbody. I am on the Westerville Public Library Board of Trustees, and I'm here because Officer Morelli has been a longtime security officer in our building, and the library staff is as devastated as you all are. I appreciate the fact that so many of the Westerville officers do provide security for us in the library. Makes us all feel safe when they're there, getting books, interacting with others, learning and growing. And it makes us feel, yet again, that we cannot say thank you enough or frequently enough to the people around us who make our lives safe and richer and better. On behalf of the library, thank you all. And for the families, my heart is breaking. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Shelley Schulteis. I'm a long resident of Westerville, went to Westerville schools. I've known a lot of the police officers on the positive side here in Westerville. A lot of them I've known either through Girl Scouts. Tony's daughter, Beth, was in our troop for many years. And we have known Linda and Beth and Chris and Tony for a long, long time. I just want to tell you a story about Tony. When our troop, these girls are now like 27 years old, so it gives you an idea how long we've known them. When our troop was Brownies, we met at Robert Frost right next door. The girls were like, let's go on a field trip, let's go on a field trip. And I'm like, okay, anybody have any ideas what we should do? And little Beth put her hand up and she said, let's go to the police department, my daddy's an officer. And all the girls just lit up and they were like, yes, let's go. So Tony gave us the tour of the police department, the 911 call center, the room where the men meet and women meet in the morning to get their daily information. We even got to throw the girls into jail. and we took lots of pictures that day, so I have great memories. And I'm proud to say that none of those girls ever had to be thrown in jail again, to my knowledge, at least. But Tony has always been there, and I'm sure you all have good memories of him as well as Officer Jory in many ways. But it's interesting because Facebook is a wonderful tool in many ways because you can get the word out fast. And yesterday when the word came out that 2 officers had been killed, it didn't take long for all of us to come together as a community and to say, you know, I knew this officer from Scouts, or I knew this officer from baseball, and his son played on our team, and his daughter played here at Westerville North on volleyball team. We all can say we know these officers somehow, some way. And I just want to say that we really appreciate what all of you do for us, because we know this is a hard sacrifice every day for you to get up every morning and be away from your families and not know what it's going to be like by the end of the day. But my husband and I, during lunch yesterday, this is before we heard the news, we were complaining a little bit about our jobs and the stress of our jobs and, oh my gosh, you know, we've got to travel again and so on and so forth. And then the news occurred and we looked at each other like, our jobs are nothing compared to what these men and women have gone through and go through every day. So I just want to say, keep in mind that these men and women do a lot for our community, and if you really want to give back, do it in ways that involve your children with them. Help out at Cops and Kids Day in September every year, which our troop did for many, many years. Organize a block watch if your neighborhood doesn't have one. Go to have a national night out and is it August? I'm trying to remember now. August. Get involved with your kids in the schools. Get to know their officers that are there for the children. And just really reach out to them and get to know them on a personal level. Thank you.
My name is John Boakers. I'm a lifelong resident, proud resident of Westerville. You hear a lot. I retired out of the fire service, and the first thing you think when you think of a cop, you think of a donut we do in the fire service, as well as they think of us in recliners, waiting for the big fire to happen. So it's a very healthy respect. Right? Okay, all right, they nod. But I retired after 38 years. The one thing I could count on in those 38 years, if we picked up the radio or the walkie and said we need help, we had cops everywhere. Never once did they hesitate because we're firefighters or ask, what do you need us to do? They're always there. I can't prove it, but I can tell you they saved many firefighters' lives. They weren't afraid to pull hose. They weren't afraid to break windows before we got there and pull people out, do CPR. And you never read about that in the paper, do you? Never do. Never makes the front page. Never, never does. So it's pride I stand here. And what I really was thinking about is when I watch the news and see across this country of the firefighters' deaths, and the first thing they interview the people say, that doesn't happen here. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. And then I turned around and thought about it in the last couple days. It did happen here. So it does happen. We should be thankful for the men and women in blue. Their families. No first responder does the job by themselves. There's always family behind them one way or another. So when we all walk out the door, there's somebody else thinking, how's it going to go that day? So I want to make sure I thank the families of all the first responders. And also keep in your prayers their paramedics that responded that day. They're hurting too. As paramedics, we're taught that we can take care of everything, we can heal everything, and save everybody. It wasn't the case. What we can do is carry on. You know, I knew Tony for 30 years, and I know Eric just enough to wave to him. But the one thing you count on, they're both there. They are, as Chief Morbitzer said, pillars of this community, as well as everybody that sits on this floor is a pillar of our community. One thing I've noticed, somebody brought up social media, that hashtag Westerville Strong, and that's what we are. We will pull together, we will pull our families together, and we will go on. The best thing we can do is remember these men and all our first responders for the jobs they do, and carry on with those memories, and remember that they are only people too. The only way I could describe how I felt, and when people ask me, how do you feel? I go, I'm sad. I'm really sad. I just can't process what has happened. It's one thing to see pictures in the paper after police officers' deaths, but to recognize somebody and recognize it's your hometown, I'm sad. Thank you for your service.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Kovaleski. A lot of you know me as Mr. K, and I'm here to represent Blendon Middle School. Tony was our resource officer, and he worked with me a lot. I taught health, and Tony wouldn't get embarrassed coming in and explaining the law to the kids and using street language to try to get that done. We started, I don't know if you guys over there, Blendon, remember our driving drunk. We would go out into the field with our golf cart, put our drunk driving goggles on, and Tony and I would talk about blood alcohol levels and how to control this, that, and the other thing. And I just want everyone to know that not only did he serve this community on the streets, but he walked the hallways of Blendon and did a great job with some of your kids and some of you. Just letting them get to know. The very first day Tony came in, we called it Ask a Cop. And Tony would take his belt off and go through everything, and he would talk about what it took to be a police officer, how he got there. And I just want you to know that he did a lot in the classroom also with your kids, and also in the cafeteria during lunch duty. Gentlemen and ladies, police force, first responders, we all thank you for your service. And Westerville will go on. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Wes Illifritz, and I have the honor of serving our students here at Westerville North as our athletic director. I was just in this gym about 24 hours ago when we heard the news. My wife grew up here in Westerville. I have only been here for a couple of years, but it has not taken me very long at all to see the great city that we have the privilege of living in. And it's a testament to the number of folks that are here today that can back that up. Some of the greatest relationships in just my short time here that I have gotten to build are with some of these guys right here who serve as our special events security. Guys like Doug Stasiak, our SRO here at Westerville North, Adam Dross. Guys like Tom Bobovnik, there on that back wall. Those are heroes. A few weeks ago, we had a search that high schools occasionally have, a search where we bring out the K-9 units and make sure our lockers and cars are clear of things they should be clear of. And it was about 5 to 7 degrees, it felt like that day, so of course our principal sent me out of the parking lot, and I got to follow around Officer Joring that day, and to see him in action, to see how serious he took his job of protecting our kids. And that's my only interaction I've had with him, but I could tell that day Westerville was a lucky place to have a guy like Officer Joring. When I come into this gym and I get to see on a typical basketball or football night, who are my guys that are here tonight to serve as our security? Every single time that I came in contact with Officer Morelli, he had like the biggest smile on his face and couldn't wait to give me that big, strong handshake and say, "Hey, Wes, how you doing?" And I would stand right over here in this corner and have some of the coolest conversations with a guy who could have just been here and just kind of put his time in, but he wanted to build a relationship. And I know if we went all the way down the line of these guys right here, We could probably say the same thing about every single one of them. It's more than a job to them. They are here to serve and protect, and that's just not a slogan to them. They live it every day. And we are so thankful. And Dr. Kellogg said our kids are so thankful and grateful to have these men and women serving us in this great city. And the chief of police said they are heroes, and that is, we can't say that loud enough. And I thank you guys, and we love you, and we love your families, and we love the sacrifice and the service you give us every single day. Thank you.
My name is Alex Heckman. I'm on City Council. I'm also a lifelong resident of Westerville. So growing up in this community, I know how safe I felt because of the police in our community. I also apologize. I've probably created some work for you over the years. I did want to share one story that really encapsulates what the police department and particularly officers Juring and Morelli meant to me. And I think it's a story that many people could have their own stories about this, but I knew Officer Juring and particularly Officer Morelli, like a lot of people in our community do. They were out in the community doing policing the right way, seeing them at the library, having a discussion. They would get to know you in your name and ask you, and they were truly a part of the community. So many years ago, I was at a Westerville South football game with my dad, Jeff. I'm a graduate of Westerville South High School, I admit. And we were sitting behind an older couple, and one of them had a cane, and he dropped the cane, and it went underneath the bleachers. So I saw that, and I said, oh, I'll go down and get that for you. So I went down, ran down the steps, under the bleachers, got the cane, and I sort of started jogging and running, and I ran my head into a steel beam, and I kind of was knocked back and stunned, and so I kind of shook it off, and I walked out, and there's just a big crowd of people there, and I felt this wetness on my face, and I wiped my face, and I realized I was bleeding profusely, and then I started to get in shock, I think, and get claustrophobic and panic. Sometimes you do when you get in shock, like, oh no, what am I going to do? And no one seemed to be paying attention. And then I kind of took a couple steps, and I saw that Westerville Police Department uniform. And right away I knew everything was going to be okay because the police were here. And all I had to do was get over there. And so I went over, and it was Officer Tony Morelli, who I knew, and I was so grateful, and he helped me get in the ambulance, and they gave me a free ride to St. Anne's Hospital. And I know it's a small story, but it's an example of just, I felt like everything was going to be okay. And I know we can't make everything okay today or tomorrow, but I do want to say thank you to Officers Morelli and Juring and the whole police force, and to know that I and City Council and this community has your back.
Hi, my name is Carla Myers. I'm with the Westerville Police Explorers. I didn't know either of the two great men that we've lost, but I have gotten the opportunity to get to know a lot of officers in our division and in other divisions, and I can honestly say they're all some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. They're so selfless and kind, and they're real people too. They're not just, they are great heroes, but they're more than that. They're our friends. They're here for us, and you can talk to any of them anytime, and they're happy to talk to you. They're your friends, and we need to recognize that. I didn't have the honor to meet either of these two men, but we all still have the honor to meet anyone who's still with us today. Anyone in any division. These police officers are heroes, and we all need to take the opportunity to say hi, to thank them, to be their friend. We never know what could happen, and these men are a gift to us. They're incredible. They're so amazing, and I can't say that enough. They're heroes and they're friends. Let them know that anytime you see them.
Y'all is going to have to bear with me here a minute. These are my brothers, my sisters. My name is Branch Waite. I'm homegrown Westerville. 1981 graduate from this school. 30-plus year retired Belen Township officer. I'm not going to stand here and talk a lot about Tony and Eric, my fellow people here, my fellow residents. I'll let them do their talking. We'll miss them fellas. But I want you to take a second here. Look at these deputies, look at these officers. They're all stone-faced right now. That's what we're wired to be. That's the way you normally see them. Tony smiled a lot. But when you see these fellows right now, they're stone-faced. But if you look close, real close, you're going to see tears. Because I guarantee you, every one of these fellas and ladies, in the last several hours, they've said, what if this would have been me? And they go home to their families, and they hug, and they kiss, and they cry, because we're human. We got to take this nasty monster job home with us every single day. I don't know how many of you got personal friends that's in law enforcement, but it's a tough job. And it's not an 8-hour job where you park it and go home. It stays with you. I look at the young people in this crowd and I wonder what their world's going to be like several years from now. And I sure hope that we're able to find good young men and women to put these badges on, to continue the job that these people are doing. So I salute you fellas, ladies. God bless you, Tony and Eric.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kirsten Brownlee. I am not a resident of Westerville, but I work here. Once when I was at work, I came outside to find that somebody had hit my car, and it wasn't any huge damage, it was just cosmetic, but I filed a police report. Officer Morelli was the responding officer. He came out, and he was so friendly, and he took it so seriously, even though it was something so minor. And I can tell from what everybody else has said about him that he took everything seriously, no matter how small. And just being here in Westerville every day, it is probably one of the safest places that I go to in my job. You can tell because there are always police on patrol. There are always people around. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for making it such a safe place. Thank you to all of our first responders that are out here today. We love you, even if we don't live here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Davis, and I'm a lifetime resident of Westerville. I also come to you as the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Westerville, representing 675 businesses, over 15,000 employees. And we all say thank you to everyone here on this floor. And not just thank you with the words, but thank you for being a big part of the fabric of our community. We all just don't live in Westerville because we were forced to live here. Many people live here because it's their choice. And the choice is that the services that we have in this community are second to none. And one of those services is the protection that we get from these police officers and, of course, our firemen. That security that we get, from a business point of view, that's why we're growing. That's why we have businesses. That's why we have so many thousands of employees in our community. And I am more than blessed to live in this community and to work in this community. I left today from our Leadership Today program. Many of you know that we have a leadership program in Westerville. And our students today, I had a section that I was to cover, but we took the first 20 minutes and we tied blue ribbons around our chamber office, and we made blue ribbons for people to wear. And I just want this fabric. First of all, I appreciate everyone coming today and coming out. Facebook, Mindy, what was it? In the last 15, 18 hours, you all responded. Thank you. And let's all stay united like this and keep responding every day. The next week is going to be very hard on all of our city officials. But you are strong and we can do it because we're united. We are Westerville. Thank you very much.
My name's Kayla Kane, and I've gone to Westerville City Schools from first grade to graduating here from Westerville North in 2012. I went to Longfellow Elementary School, Heritage Middle School, and like I said, I graduated from here. Some of the cops that came to my school weekly or monthly, Officer Bailey is one of the names that sticks out to me, Officer Ryan, and Officer Morelli. Officer Morelli was one of the officers that even the bad kids loved. Someone who always smiled and greeted kids. I remember seeing him at basketball games, football games, and once I heard that it was him, my heart was broken. I now have my own little boy who's sitting up in those stands, and I drop him off to school Monday through Friday at Hawthorne Elementary. And one of the things that makes me feel safe is when I see the cop car there every morning, knowing that even though when I'm not there with my kid, there's someone else there willing to protect him. And right now in this world, people are telling my child to fear the police, but I'm trying to raise him to love them and respect them, and that they're there to protect him and not hurt him. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Nestor Baker, and I'm a member of the Westerville City Schools Board of Education. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Not just for what you do every day, but for who you are and what you bring and what you give and all that you make this community be. Dr. Kellogg talked about how much we appreciate what you do for all of our students in our schools. We do. And so much of that thank you, in my mind, is bound in the fact that we do it together. We do it arm in arm. We do it hand in hand. We do it because it is the right thing for our community. We do it because we believe in tomorrow. And we do it every day together. And that's what's so wonderful about this place. Westerville is different. We all said, as John Booker said, it doesn't happen here. And we all know every time we said it, we all knew that it could. And now it has. If you think about all the times of tragedy in your lives, years down the road you think, I remember where I was the day that happened. I remember what I was doing. I remember what I was wearing. So years in the future, you will probably remember where you were yesterday when you heard the news. I actually got the news in a text from my nephew letting me know that our family member, who is a Westerville officer, was safe, but that Tony and Eric were not. I was with my son. We were putting his dog to sleep. It was a very sad time to begin with, and as the tears flowed down my face, it wasn't for the sweet dog that we said goodbye to. And in fact, it wasn't for Tony and Eric. It was for who we are. And so what I ask you to do is think about where you were when you heard the news, but more importantly, think about who you will be because of this news. Who we will be as a community, as partners together. Who we will be because this happened. Because who we will be is what will be the future that Tony and Eric died for. So I ask you with me to think to the future and to remember always who we are is one. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Linda Cottrell. I am the current president of the Westerville Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. Sometimes we call it WISPA. And all of the people behind me are members of the Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. We all took classes to learn what you guys do and how you live, and to learn more about you so that we can support you and respect you more. So we want to thank you. We're standing here for you. We will support you, and we want to thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa Heckman. I have been a Westerville resident since about 1995. Married to Alex, that was up here earlier. We've raised our kids in this great community. I wanted to let all of the community and the officers here, officers out there, to know of all the prayers that I have been receiving from all over the country and all over the world in the past 24 hours. From my cousins in Italy, our friends in Germany, which do reside with us in Westerville once every 3 years for about 10 days or so. To my friends in Canada, my sister called me from San Diego, sending prayers. You were on the news there, unfortunately. To my friends on the East Coast, friends in Florida, and friends in New York. They're all sending love, light, and peace to everybody in this community, including officers and the officers' families. Thank you very much.
I'm Derek Richardson. I've lived in the community, not in Westerville, but far to the south of you in Blendon Township. And so I've had all 4 of my kids going through Westerville schools. One of the things that my wife and I were always very confident about was that the kids would be safe. And that's thanks in large part to you folks who keep the city and the schools safe. So I want to say thank you on behalf of all our children for all that you do. One of my grandsons called last night and he said, "Grandpa, I knew one of those guys. He was the police officer at the library." Now you have to remember that this was at a time when my grandson was much more interested in looking at whatever attractive young women might be by than looking at older men. But he said, one of the things that always struck me about Officer Morelli was that he always had a smile. He was such a nice person. So thank you on behalf of all of us, for all of you who smile, who maintain your niceness, who know that in the midst of the darkness, the light still shines. Thank you for carrying that light for us and for helping us to believe that the darkness will not overcome it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Noskoviak, and I've lived in Westerville my entire life. I am a blue family. My dad is a retired auxiliary, is what they called them. Now they're reserve. My daughter's a police officer. My brother-in-law is a Westerville police officer. And I have lived here now for 54 years, and we have the finest first responders. I raised 5 kids in this community, and I did it and I knew that if I wasn't there, these people here were there, and many times they were. My story I want to share with you about Officer Morelli, because I have so many. He was our block watch liaison. And one day I'm at work in Dublin, and my phone rings, and it's Officer Morelli. And he's like, I'm at your house. And I said, okay, what's wrong? I'm putting Emily on the phone, which is my police officer, by the way, now. She had stayed home sick that day, and her brother was sick, so they both were home sick, and her boyfriend was over, and they decided to make biscuit donuts with grease, oil. Yeah, it caught on fire. They put water on it. They melted my linoleum floor, blackened my kitchen, and ran out the door with this pot on fire. As Officer Morelli was patrolling our neighborhood, he stopped, got his fire extinguisher, put out the fire, made sure Emily's hand was okay, came in the house, made sure my house was okay, gave them a lecture, and then said, we're calling your mom now. I'll tell her when she gets home. We don't want to bother her. We're calling her now. So he made sure. She had to tell me. And he confirmed to me that everything was okay, other than he probably needed to have her arm looked at. That's who Officer Tony Morelli was. And we, as a community, have a chance to show his family and Eric's family and these men and women who put on this uniform day in and day out that we are behind them, we support them, and it can't stop in a week or 2 weeks. We have a point now where we can make a difference in this community in Ohio. We can carry it on. We need change, and we can do it because we are Westerville strong. And I ask everyone here, when you see anyone with these uniforms on, I don't care what community you're in, that you stop, you thank them, you ask them how their day is, sit down and have a cup of coffee, because they are our family. And I just pray that we all remain strong for these families, and we remember them, not just in the next couple of weeks, but for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
I'm retired Officer Bill Highfield's wife, Marcia. My first encounter with Westerville Police Department was Skip Day. He came to our house, which was a mobile home at the time out on Fancher Road, to interview me to see if Bill would qualify to be a Westerville police officer. I was in bed trying not to miscarry a baby. He came to my bedside and told me about Westerville. Caring and love came right through. Bill came on the department in '72. I was scared to death. That's before cell phones, you guys. And I didn't want a police scanner. But sometimes Bill would tell me what I got into, and sometimes he didn't. And I didn't really want to know as a wife. home with 3 little kids. One of the incidents was the blizzard in '78. I didn't see him for almost 5 days. And some of the younger guys would say, well, didn't you go home? You know, didn't you get relief? There was only 5 guys on the department. They were the relief. He told me a story of Reverend Meacham. Their guys were out playing softball on the field, and they got a call that there was a man with a knife. And Jim, that was his first introduction to trying to talk somebody down, and they put Bill through the door first because he was the biggest. But that's a story I didn't want to know either. We raised our 3 daughters here, 14 foster children. Bill always brought strays home. You never know what kid needed a place for a few hours or a few days. He brought Dare to Westerville. Our daughters babysit for Tony Morelli's kids. We're family. The Westerville Safety Service Wives started in '74. It was only wives because there was only men on the department at the time. We supported them, and we felt the love of the community. We need that now. Families are hurting. Tony's family, Eric's family. I can't imagine what they're going through. Love them. Take care of them. Give to the fund that the FOP has started for support of their families, please. Don't use one of those stupid sites that are trying to fake us out. We love you guys. We thank you for everything you've done. Our daughter when she was running cross country, you know, out at 11 o'clock at night. We felt safe raising our kids here. And please continue that. Please talk to our kids at school. Talk to these kids at home. You know, there was many a parent that called Bill and say, our son needs talked to. You know, please do that. Share your love, share your knowledge. And I thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you, God.
Good afternoon. I'm Craig Treniff. I'm a member of our City Council, and I'm Mayor of Westerville. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to watch the news briefing yesterday afternoon with our City Manager and our Chief of Police, Joe Morbitt. If you haven't seen it, you can stream it, take a look at it, especially Joe's part. I've never seen our Chief of Police weep publicly. He expressed such heartfelt grief that it truly was moving. And I think Joe's grief is really just an example of the grief that this community as a whole feels for what's happened. And that's why you're all here today. What we can do, though, as a community is first and foremost support the family of the officers who gave their lives in our service. We absolutely have to do everything we can in that regard. And I can say on behalf of City Council, we have the finest police officers in the country. We have the finest police department. And as a City Council, we will support you in whatever way you need to maintain you as the best department in the country. And the community, obviously, will support you as well. Thank you all for coming out today.
Hi there. My name's Gary Puckett. I've lived in Westerville about 32 years, I think. I'm no one special. I'm not city council or anything like that. I'm just a guy living in Westerville. I'm a musician. As a musician, I have the opportunity to travel quite a bit. And I visited lots of communities, some big cities, some small towns, and you know, for day-to-day living, there is no place I've visited that I would prefer to Westerville. I love this community, and I suspect that the quality of community will never exceed the quality of its law enforcement. We live in a great community because we have a great police department. That they provide us the security that our school system, everything else is built on. My son is also a musician, and I live next door to Officer Baker, so he's dealt with this a little bit. You know, if you have a heavy metal band living and practicing at your house, sometimes the police come to visit. But I would be working late, and the band would be practicing, and sometimes they hear a knock on the door. But I say this: the officers were always in great humor and built great relationships with the kids, and eventually figured out when they could practice, when they couldn't. You know, this is going to be a rough week for our community and the police force. But I hope that we'll use the lives of Officer Juring and Morelli as an inspiration too. You know, none of us are getting out of here alive. All of our lives have a beginning and an end. But maybe it's not so important how long we live, but how we live. Just like a boat going through Hoover leaves a wake behind us, we can leave a wake behind us too. And we heard the stories after stories of Officer Juring and Morelli of the wake they've left behind, of lives that have been changed in a positive way. Remember the young man who spoke earlier about that? He knew he was doing wrong, but Officer Morelli sat down with him and changed the course not just of his life, but of his kid's life and his kid's kid's life. The extra effort that they put in to touching someone's life could end up affecting hundreds and hundreds of people. So I hope we all consider their lives and think about the effect that we have too. Each of us every day are leaving a wake behind us. So many of our officers here have left wakes of changed lives and better lives. So I hope we use that as inspiration that we can touch people's lives in a positive way too. Thanks.
My name is Mahmoud El-Yusuf. I live in Westerville since 1999, and I've been in the U.S. for the last 4 years. Westerville is my home. I'm a father of 6. 5 of my children graduated from Westerville School. That's how I came to know Officer Morelli. I also know Eric. I meet Tony at the library quite often, and 2 days before he was murdered, I have a short conversation with him, but I tried to squeeze my brain in my way here what it was. I couldn't recall. All what I could remember about Tony is his contagious smile. And the reason I wanted to talk, I want to share with you, the day after 9/11, I received a death threat at my house. I'm a Muslim, I'm an Arab American. I was in the service 20 years. And somebody threatened to come to my home and blow my house up. So I called Westerville Police Department, and Tony came, he took a report. He told me, don't worry, you're one of us. Don't worry about this phone call and threat. You're in the service, you're a good guy. Tony vouched for my loyalty and patriotism, and I'm here to be honored for him and Eric. And I want to remind you all, when you see these officers in the street, please take a minute, shake their hand, tell them thank you for your service. There's nothing warm my heart than when I run into people in the street when I'm wearing my Air Force retired hat. They come shake my hand and they say thank you for your service. So all these years I put in the service, it's well worth it. All the sacrifice I did, it just brings tears to my eyes. It's a sad day for Westerville today. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
My name is Greg LaValle. I am a third shift sergeant, and I have the distinct pleasure of being our Honor Guard commander. Our idea of coming here today is I wanted the community to see us as something more than just a uniform. The men and women here before you today make up our Division of Police Honor Guard. All but 4 of them are parents. We're just like each and every person sitting here today. We're human beings. Yes, we wear a uniform, and we wear it with pride. My brothers and sisters are grieving and in a great amount of pain. It's only appropriate that I stand here as a representative of our police department and our Honor Guard and thank each and every one of you for your support, your continued support. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Westerville's the largest suburban agency in Central Ohio. Next to these ladies and gentlemen here in the Columbus Police Department, we're the next largest agency at 76 sworn officers. We have 74 now. But with each and every one of you here, that multiplies our force, and we can feel that. So please, continue to support us. Continue to be there for the families of Eric and Tony. I appreciate you all coming today. Thank you.
I know that wasn't easy. I think we end with one final thing as a community and as a wonderful city that we are. And I think we all grab hands and embrace one another and have one moment of silence. God bless Westerville, Ohio, and most especially, God bless the Westerville Police Force. Thank you all for coming.